welcome to Life's Just Cray. I'm Kate, and this is where we talk through real life situations that have you up until 2 a.m. talking with your bestie, like, okay, but what would you do though? Real situations, real talk, no fluff. My grandma always said you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's exactly how I move on this show. Everything I say comes from my own experience, and I'm not a professional, but I'm also not here to tell you what to do. But it might help. Finances are on the table today, loves, and this one's uncomfortably real. Like, really real.
I am 26 years old, and I am in a financial situation that I created entirely through my own choices, and I am deeply ashamed of how serious it has actually become. I have never spoken these numbers out loud to another living person. Not my parents who would want to help. Not my closest friends who would not judge me. Not anyone. I carry this completely alone, and the weight of it is something I feel every single day in a way that is genuinely hard to describe to someone who has never had a number living permanently in the back of their mind. I have student loans from a degree I finished, but never translated into a career that matched what I studied for. I have credit card debt, spread across 4 different accounts that accumulated slowly and then faster over 3 years of living slightly beyond what I was actually earning and convincing myself month after month that I would catch up when things leveled out. I have a car payment that seemed completely reasonable when I signed for it, because I had been told a promotion was coming that never actually materialized. And I have a savings account with just enough in it to make me feel like I am not completely without anything, but not nearly enough to protect me. If something genuinely serious and unexpected went wrong, the total number keeps me awake at night, more nights than not. Not because I am in denial about it. I know it exactly keeps me awake because I cannot map a clear and realistic path out of it without feeling like the only options are to pay down debt and have no life, or have some kind of life and never get ahead. Every time I manage to build a workable plan, something real comes along and dismantles it. Last month, it was a car repair I could not avoid. The month before that, it was a medical bill with no warning. It feels like every time I take 2 steps forward, something I did not see coming pushes me back 3. The hardest part to sit with is that I make decent money. Not exceptional, but enough that I should not be here. Enough that the people in my life would genuinely be surprised by the reality of my situation. I present well. Nobody looking at me from the outside would see someone who is quietly terrified of her own bank account. I have researched consolidation options. I have tried every budgeting app that exists. I understand the concepts completely. Making them stick when real life keeps interrupting is where I keep failing. Where do you actually start when you feel too far behind to ever catch up?
Let me start by saying something you probably already know, but needed someone to say out loud. There's no clean or elegant way to climb out of any financial hole. Nobody's going to hand you a ladder and a neat timeline and tell you where this is going to be over. The process is slow and frustrating, and just when you think you've finally got some real traction, something completely unexpected happens. And that 2 steps forward, 3 steps back feeling that you described isn't a sign of you're doing something wrong. That's genuinely what this process looks like for most people navigating it. And the fact that no one talks about it honestly is a huge part of why so many people feel like they're personally failing when they're actually doing something that's genuinely hard for almost everyone. And I know that specific moment you described. You finally look at your accounts and think, okay, I actually got that one paid off. I handled that bill that's been sitting there weighing on me for months. I can feel myself moving forward in the right direction for real this time. And then, without warning, your car makes a noise that you've never heard before. Or you unexpectedly get sick and miss days of work that you can't afford to lose. Or something completely outside of your control shows up, and suddenly you're right back to staring at that same impossible number that you started with, wondering why even bother trying. It's exhausting in a way that goes far beyond the actual dollars. And it's emotionally and mentally depleting to keep rebuilding momentum only to get knocked back into the same starting point over and over again. So here's something concrete and practical I want you to seriously look into if you haven't already explored it. Debt consolidation. The concept is pretty straightforward. Instead of managing 4 separate credit card accounts with different interest rates, different minimum payments, different due dates, you take out one single loan to pay all 4 of them off at once. And then you have one payment, one interest rate, one due date, and one single thing to track each month. It doesn't make the debt vanish, but it simplifies everything in a way that can make the situation feel significantly more manageable, and in many cases, actually reduces the total interest that you're paying over time. Talk to your bank or local credit union and see the real numbers in front of you before you decide anything. And I want to acknowledge something much bigger here, because it would be completely dishonest to talk about personal finances right now without naming what is actually happening out there in the real world. The cost of simply existing has gotten completely out of control. Gas is approaching $7 a gallon in parts of this country. Rent has hit numbers that were genuinely unthinkable just a few years ago. And you cannot walk out of a grocery store without spending more money than you spent on the same exact items last month. And wages have not come anywhere close to keeping pace with any of it. The math required to sustain a basic life as a single person in this economy is brutal. And that's not a reflection of your choices or your discipline or work ethic. It's a reflection of the system that keeps demanding more work and giving back less. If you have a partner or a roommate splitting the big costs, there's at least some relief on rent and utilities. But doing this completely alone means the numbers are genuinely stacked against you. And that deserves to be acknowledged without any judgment. So please give yourself some real grace for how hard this actually is. And if consolidation doesn't pan out and the economy keeps doing what it's been doing, there is always one financial emergency backup plan available to you. And that's find yourself a sugar daddy. But given how absolutely slim those pickings are right now, genuinely, good luck with that one, hun. But in all seriousness though, one payment, one focus, one step at a time, you're going to be okay. Alrighty, loves. That's all I've got for you today, and you already know where to find me. Slide into the DMs with your situation, and you might just hear it on the next episode. And if this one hit home for you, share it with someone who needs it, because that is what we do. And remember, just because I've said this advice doesn't mean you have to take it. You're the maker of your own decisions, but you must also be willing to deal with the consequences of your actions, if there are any. Until next time, take care of yourself.